I first met Lorraine when I was a grocery clerk in a store that was a half block from where the family lived. I was their grocery boy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I was.
Wow.
I had just finished high school. I used to take the food that they ordered by their house and talk with those young people. They were younger than me. I was out of high school, but they were still in elementary school and earlier. And she was just a beautiful girl who would come to the store. I would say she was like, what I might say, my little sister. I did not have the talents that she had, but she always recognized Big Brother as being a part of her family.
In the 1930s, as black people seeking a better life migrated by the tens of thousands from the South to Chicago, white property owners made a pact among themselves to refuse to sell homes to black people. These racist pacts were called restrictive covenants, race cards of the highest order.
And Carl Hansberry, her father, was a person who broke the barrier, legal barrier, of housing segregation.
On May 26, 1937, Carl Hansberry, the father of Lorraine Hansberry, moved his wife and 4 children into a home at 6140 South Rhodes, which at the time was an all-white area.
And he had a white friend of his buy a piece of property in northwest Woodlawn. Then that white friend, by agreement, immediately sold it back to him.
White homeowners tried to intimidate the family with threats of violence.
So immediately, when the whites began to use violence, the Negroes moving there who were middle class, these were not poor Negroes, they immediately responded. Their husbands, or the men, immediately responded to fight back.
The property owners decided to sue the Hansberrys, charging that the presence of their family in a white neighborhood was a violation of restricted covenants. A typical clause read, "No property in said addition shall at any time be sold, conveyed, rented, or leased in whole or in part to any person or persons not of the Caucasian or white race." The case eventually went to the U.S. Supreme Court, and in 1940, due to a legal technicality, the case was won by the Hansberrys, allowing them to stay in their home.
And of course, eventually the whites all moved out. I would say between that period of 1939, I think, when the Hansberry, to the period when I was drafted along other young to be in World War II. So I would say roughly 5 or 6 years. Didn't take long.
Lorraine often lamented that the brutal fight for fair housing compromised her father's health and caused him to die of a cerebral hemorrhage at the young age of 50. Before this tragedy, Lorraine Hansberry had grown up in a home full of intellectual and creative curiosity. As a child, she met many notable activists, such as Paul Robeson, Langston Hughes, W.E.B. Du Bois, and so many others who frequently visited her family. Imagine little Lorraine running down these sidewalks or sitting on this stoop waiting for Langston Hughes or Paul Robeson to stop by. Lorraine graduated from Inglewood High School in 1948, and after a short period of study at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, she decided to move to New York. There she attended the New School for Social Research and then worked for Paul Robeson's progressive black newspaper, Freedom. During this time, Lorraine wrote The Crystal Stair, a play about a struggling black family in Chicago, which was later renamed A Raisin in the Sun, based on a line from a Langston Hughes poem.
She was stimulated, and meeting Langston Hughes himself for her was very, very honoring. And so it's no surprise to me that she took advantage of his agreement to let her do a play based on his lyrical poem, Raisin in the Sun.
A Raisin in the Sun opened at the Ethel Barrymore Theater on March 11, 1959, and was a great success, having a run of 530 performances. Lorraine had not yet turned 30. It was the first play produced on Broadway by an African-American woman, and Hansberry was the first black playwright and the youngest American to win a New York Critics Circle Award. The film version of A Raisin in the Sun was completed in 1961, starring Sidney Poitier.
Talk so much about money. 'Cause it's life. Ooh. So now money is life. Once upon a time, freedom used to be life, but now it's money.
Mama, it was always money.
Travis, is that the right amount of zeros?
She loves you. See, I'm 35 years old, and I ain't got nothing. I ain't gonna be nothing, Mama. We don't want your money.
Lorraine became close friends with singer Nina Simone. Hansberry was godmother to Simone's daughter, Lisa, now named Simone, and following Lorraine's death in 1965, Nina composed a song entitled To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, inspired by Hansberry's work. Hansberry met Robert Nemiroff, a Jewish songwriter, on a picket line, and the two were married in 1953. Hansberry and Nemiroff divorced in 1962, though they continued to work together. She quietly identified as lesbian in writings for a feminist publication called The Ladder, and also worked for women and gay rights causes. In 1964, the same year Hansberry's second play, The Sign in Sidney Brustein's Window, opened, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She died on January 12, 1965.
She was indeed a beautiful, not just physically, but behaviorally. And I am so glad to see this mural, this presentation of this woman who helped to make a difference, following in the footsteps of her aggressive father.
A Raisin in the Sun is considered one of the hallmarks of the American stage and has continued to find new audiences throughout the decades, including Emmy-nominated television productions from both 1989 and 2008. The play has earned accolades from Broadway as well, winning Tony Awards in 2004 and 2014, including Best Revival of a Play.
She had a legacy, and she carried that legacy forward for others to understand how change does come and what role, what responsibility they had in making that change come about.
Centers for New Horizons and the Bronzeville Alliance are honored to support Chris Devins in his effort to brand Bronzeville as the hip, exciting, world-class tourist destination that it so strongly represents. Let's all continue to build a better Bronzeville.
Thank you so much.